Ladies and gentlemen, did y'all know that there's actually a law right now in Georgia that limits how you can eat your fried chicken? Don't worry, I'm going to tell you all about it. See, we're going all the way to Gainesville, Georgia, specifically in 1961, where there's a law being passed limiting how you can eat your fried chicken. You cannot eat it with a fork. Why was this passed? Well, simple. Gainesville, Georgia wanted to be known as the poultry capital of the world. Now, if y'all are wondering, was there anything to happen with this law? Actually, yes. Two arrests. The first one was actually Colonel Sanders. He was arrested in 1977 with a rehearsed arrest. Now, in 2009, there was another person, 91-year-old Jenny Detrick. She was pardoned, though, by the mayor because of it and was actually crowned a poultry princess. It was actually her birthday, I believe, when it happened. So it's pretty funny how that whole story is. So, if this is new to you and you didn't know anything about it and it's interesting to you, drop me a follow and tell me where you want me to look for weird laws at next. Bye, y'all. Marshalltown, Iowa made probably the weirdest laws, and it's completely hilarious. They basically made it illegal for horses to eat fire hydrants. Now, if you're wondering what the actual thing says, it prohibits tying of horses in ways that lets them bite, eat, or damage fire hydrants, poles, or trees. Now, in case you are wondering, there was a little bit of local lore to this. Basically, the horses either A, got bored and just decided to start gnawing on a fire hydrant, or B, they mistaked it for something called a salt lick and just tried defiring one of these fire hydrants. Now, in case you are wondering when this passed, it was 1937. So, yeah, if y'all didn't know that, drop me a follow. Also, comment down below where y'all want me to search for weird laws next. I'm actually kind of enjoying all of these. Bye, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me for another episode of Weird Laws with Bear. Now, on today's episode, we're actually going all the way to Pittsburgh. Why are we going to Pittsburgh? Because of this comment right here. Now, if y'all want me in the next one, please just leave a comment out of whatever city, whatever state, or country, really. But we're going to Pittsburgh. Specifically, we're going to 1859 when the city council decided to introduce its first horse-drawn, later cable trolley system. Now, in case you're wondering, what is the law? It basically says it is illegal to bring a donkey or mule onto a trolley. They specifically had to make this law. Now, if you try to search it up, unfortunately, there's not really going to be any actual law. It was actually a city council that did this. But if you do search up donkeys and trolley law for Pittsburgh, you are going to find some stuff. Oh, and another thing. It was very hard to choose for Pittsburgh because, believe it or not, now here's some honorable mentions, right? Sleep on a fridge outdoors. That's illegal. Oh, and then there's no ice cream in back pockets. Now, I'm actually going to make this kind of a two-part because the ice cream one needs to be explained. So, the reason why it is illegal to have ice cream in your back pocket in Pittsburgh and the reason why it's supposedly not supposed to happen is because that was a way for thieves to steal horses. But yeah, no ice cream in back pockets for Pittsburgh. Bye, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me for another Weird Laws with Bear. Now, we're actually going to Ohio because of this comment here. If you want a specific state, city, or country, you can leave a comment and I'll try to get to it as quick as possible. Now, the reason we are currently going to Ohio, and let me say it was very hard to choose just one, because there was actually a couple for Ohio. For example, no whale fishing on Sunday, even though it's a landlocked state. The out of gas fine in a certain city. 5 women house rule. Yes, that's one. But I decided to go with one specifically labeled no getting your fish drunk. Now, in case you're wondering exactly what the rule states, it says, no person shall take, catch, injure, or kill wild animal or destroy the habitat thereof in any waters of the state by means of quicklime, electricity, or explosives, or poisonous substance. Now, by poisonous substance, they mean poison, but they also mean things like alcohol. Now, the reason why this was made was because a lot of people were known for doing not so great things to try and catch fish. This also kind of came into effect to kind of stop the illegal dumping of certain substances into the waters of Ohio. Now, if y'all didn't know this, please give me a follow. Leave a comment for the next place I should do, and I'll try to get back with y'all tomorrow. Bye, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me for another episode of Weird Laws with Bear. Now, where are we going today? Well, this comment right here says we're going to Oklahoma. And when I was going to Oklahoma, I decided what could be their strangest law. And the naming of this one is very strange. It says no horse tipping or bear wrestling. And in my head, I'm going bear wrestling. Why are we going up against bear wrestling? You know, Killer Bear's my name. It's very strange. So this was actually done in 2014. This is actually the newest law that I've covered. It was basically put in for animal cruelty in rodeos and exhibitions. In case you're wondering what the fines are, it's a $2,000 fine or a year in jail, which I believe is kind of linear. You know, it probably needs to be a little bit more, especially against animal cruelty. Now, there's actually conflicting results. I did say 2014. That's kind of, I believe, when it got updated, because it was actually part of the 1996 legislature. Now, what exactly does it say? Well, there's a bunch of different parts to it. And as you can see here, it's definitely a lot. But basically, there's a lot of things about no bear substances. I mean, you can't give a bear a bunch of substances. You're not able to train a bear for bear wrestling. You're not able to make alterations for the bear. You're not allowed to get people into shows where there's going to be any horse tripping or bear wrestling. There's not any. Basically covering all the bases of horse tripping and bear wrestling exhibitions. In case you're wondering what bear alterations are, it's removing their teeth, removing their claws, giving them things like alcohol to make it aware they're not going to be able to function as a bear. So yeah, if y'all didn't know this, hit the follow. I definitely say look into this law. Okay, bye y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Weird Laws with Bear. Today we're going to none other than Alberta. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I guess we're going to Canada. Alright, so we're going to Alberta, Canada. And believe it or not, their law actually makes complete sense. It's illegal to own rats. Yeah, that's basically the entirety of this law. In case you're wondering exactly what it is, it's the Alberta Agricultural Pest Act of 1950. It was done by the Alberta Department of Agriculture. Now, in case you're wondering what it says Norway rats are prohibited pest, meaning it's illegal to own, breed, sell, or keep rats as pets. Now, I'm going to say there's a slight deviation of this because there's a special permit for things like zoos and labs. Basically, the reason why that is because labs, they still use rats to test certain things, so they need to do a special permit, and once they get it, then they can get these rats. It's also illegal to harbor, transport, or import rats into the province. So yeah. And the entire reason for this being is because 1950, they saw the rise in their grain storage and modern agriculture, which there was also 1950 when they first seen the Norway rat. It was spotted in the eastern part of the Alberta Saskatchewan area. Um, in case you're wondering, like how in depth they are about keeping these rats out, preventing rats is taught to school children in schools. They have something called government rat patrols. They have rat control zones. They have rat inspectors, and they do baiting, trapping, and burning rat nests. And believe it or not, this is like very successful. They've had less than 100 confirmed infestations since 1950. So yeah, it's illegal to own rats in Alberta. If you didn't know this, go ahead, follow or subscribe. Leave me a comment for where I should do next, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Weird Laws with Bear. In today's episode, where are we going? Indiana. Okay, we're going to Indiana. Cold beer is only allowed in liquor stores. I wish I was lying. 1933 to 1935, we were coming out of a prohibition. They made it illegal for alcohol, right? Well, they decided, you know what? We need to do strict alcohol laws. Okay, some people definitely have them. They put strict controls on the alcohol sales. It says businesses with fully licensed and regulated could sell alcohol. Now, in case you're wondering what this basically means, it means liquor stores.
Liquor stores were heavily regulated, carded all customers, and they are not allowed to have non-alcoholic product in their stores, which means that there's not going to be any question on if someone is of age to buy it, and there's not going to be any reason for non-age people to be in there. Now, there has been controversies with this. Believe it or not, Walmart full on tried fighting this, and in 2018, a federal judge upheld this. Uh, the liquor stores, they definitely love it. Convenience stores, though, can sell cold wine, but not beer. Cold beer is the only thing not allowed in convenience stores. You can buy room temp beer. You're only allowed to buy room temp beer in the convenience store. You have to take it somewhere else to get it chilled. However, if you want room temp beer, you can buy it there. If you want cold wine, you can buy it there. You want cold beer, you either buy the room temp beer, chill it yourself, or you gotta go all the way to a liquor store. So yeah, if y'all didn't know this, go ahead, hit the sub or follow, depending on which app you're on. Leave me a comment for where I should go next to look up their weird laws, and hit the like button, y'all. I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Weird Laws with Bear. Where are we going? Well, let us see. We're going to North Carolina. That's only 2 states away from me. Let's see what we got. You're not allowed to use elephants to plow cotton fields. Yeah, North Carolina got a strange one. I'll give you that. Apparently, this came about in the late 1800s, early 1900s. All right, the reason why was because of P.T. Barnum's. They decided to start touring through the state, and they were using elephants to try and plow fields. See, the thing is that these elephants were not trained, and they would end up basically damaging the surrounding terrain and also basically crushing crops in the field. The farmers did not like it at all. They actually actively hated it. So they went and basically tried to get a law passed. So it is illegal to use elephants to plow fields in North Carolina. And the entire other strange part is these were not like trained, and so it was actually basically hurting the elephants. This was all for a show. So yeah, if y'all didn't know this, sub, follow, like, and please comment where I should go next to look at their weird laws. I'll see you on the next one. Bye, y'all.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Weird Laws with Bear. Today we're going to Australia, home of every poisonous and venomous thing known to man. Okay, so what is Australia's weird law? It's illegal to collect or remove any bird or bat poop from state land without a license. That one, I will say, is rather strange. In case you are wondering, it's part of the Section 387 of WA's Criminal Code Act of 1913. In case you're wondering what happens if you do, is supposedly 1 year in prison. The reason why this was invented was simply because it was a key ingredient in fertilizer at the time, and this was before they got synthesized fertilizer, because that came about in 1910. Even though it was 3 years later when it was passed, they still decided to make it a law. In case you're wondering who kind of enforces this, is the WA Department of Biodiversity, Conservation, and Attractions. They kind of do this as part of their protect environment type stuff. But the law was actually also made to prevent unauthorized commercial exploitation or environmental degradation, because a lot of people were going into caves to remove the bat poop, and it was actually going to impact environmental stuff. So yeah, if y'all didn't know this, give me a sub, follow, leave a like, and please comment somewhere else to look for weird laws. Bye, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we look at weird laws again with Weird Laws with Bear. Now, where are we going today? Well, we're going to none other than Oregon. Okay, let's see what their weird law is. Illegal to pump your own gas. Oh, well, this one was actually revoked. It was revoked in 2023. Okay, so this bill apparently passed in 1951, and it was just recently took away. The original law was the CORS 480 dot 315 480 385. It was mandated gas stations attendants to do the pumping. Believe it or not, there was actually one other state that had this. It was New Jersey. Now, you might be wondering, why was this ban even put into the first place? Well, simple. One, fire safety. Untrained people pumping gas. Another one was an environmental concern. Apparently, attendants would supposedly spill less gas. It also created a lot of jobs. Had steady employment. The other one was actually it helped disabled people and elderly to prevent them from getting out their cars. Now, in case you are wondering, this was actually took away in August 2023. It got lifted, and a survey was actually done afterwards. And a lot of people were simply asking, so, how do I do this? Which is rather concerning, especially as a Georgia person. At 16, I was pumping gas, actually at like 13. So, yeah. If y'all didn't know this, sub, follow, leave a like, and please comment another state, country, city that y'all would like to see next. Bye, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Weird Laws with Bear. That's right, I'm finally off work so I can give full-fledged energy. Alright, so, where are we going today? Idaho. Okay, Mr. Ho, I see that you decided to come with your own law. It's illegal to fish from the back of a moose or giraffe. You know what? Give me just a second. I'm going to go research this one. It's with my deep sorrow that I have to say that law right there is actually false. It's not actually even a law. It didn't even exist. So, what is the actual law that I found? Well, there's a law about potatoes in Idaho. Believe it or not, it basically is a statutes. It's the Idaho Statutes, Title 22, Chapter 9. Now, bear with me, this law has a bunch in it. Okay, it reads, when selling or shipping potatoes in quantities less than a carload, they must be graded as one of the following: Idaho Deluxe, Idaho Standard, or Idaho Utility. Any potatoes sold failing these standards are detrimental to potato industry. That's what it says. It's detrimental to potato industry. Now, believe it or not, it says if you label something Idaho Deluxe, but it's bruised, damaged, or subpar, you have broken the law. That's right. Idaho does not play about their potatoes at all. Now, in case you're wondering when this law became about, it originated in 1941. It's been updated twice, though, since then. Once in 1965 and another time in 1970. Now, you might be wondering, why is this law even there? Well, it does a couple things. It's meant to protect Idaho's potato brand. It helps guard against misleading consumers and also kind of saves Idaho's entire image. And in case you're wondering how it does this, it makes it to where you clearly have to state the variety, origin of the potatoes. You have to make sure you have all the correct labeling, because if you don't, that's basically a felony. And here's another weird one. Private brands can't refer to Idaho, like, with their potatoes unless they are actually selling Idaho-grown potatoes. So if you see Idaho potatoes, that means that it has to be from there. So if you didn't know this, go ahead, follow, give me a like, share this with someone who might not know this, and please comment where to go next. I'll see you on the next one. Bye, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Weird Laws with Bear. Today we're going to Czechia? Oh, it's the Czech Republic. Don't worry. I actually found a very weird looking one, but it actually makes a lot of sense. Don't worry, we'll get right into it. See, in 1993, they decided to pass a law that basically said that it didn't matter if it was day or night time, you had to have your lights on. Now, this was only for cars, and it was specifically in rural areas. Reason why was it was to help to improve not only visibility, but also let people know, hey, I'm here. Well, it got updated in 1994. In 1994, it went to all vehicles on all roads. So if you're a tourist going there, you will actually get fined. Now, you might be wondering, how much are the fines? Well, to them, it's like 2,000, whatever their currency is. But I converted it to USD, and in USD is basically $95. Now, not only was it enforced really to this day over there in Czech, is actually in a lot of Scandinavian countries. See, in Scandinavian countries like Finland, Norway, stuff like that, they had this law. Czech Republic decided to basically take that law because they took a lot of laws from them following the trend. Now, 2011, reason I bring this up, EU decided to make it kind of mandatory that all cars have to have this feature to turn the lights on during the daytime, which is why we have something called daytime lights on US cars as well that automatically go on, and a lot of time you won't even realize that they're on. So yeah, if you didn't know this, follow, subscribe, give me a like. Also, share this with someone to, give them something to learn about. Also, comment whatever city, nation, country, state, whatever, that you want me to try and find a weird law in next. Bye, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Weird Laws with Bear. Today, where are we going? Oh, wait, actually, there's no comment, so I guess I decided to do this on my own. We're going to North Dakota. Now, North Dakota actually has a weird one, because their law basically reads no human cloning. It was actually a House Bill House Bill 1424. It passed in 2003, but became effective in 2004. It defines human cloning as asexual reproduction by introducing genetic material of a human somatic cell into a fertilized or unfertilized egg to create a genetically human organism. So yeah, they decided to ban human cloning. Now, believe it or not, there's actually huge fines if you get caught with this, and it's actually a felony. It says performing intentionally or not is a Class C felony punishable by 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Now, believe it or not, just receiving or transferring this stuff is a Class A misdemeanor, which means you can get up to a year in jail and $3,000 fines. Now, there are some exceptions to this law. Believe it or not, IVF is okay. Research in these fields are okay, or in certain areas, really. And then fertility treatments are okay. And in case you're wondering, who brought this forth? Well, doesn't really surprise me that they did this, but it was actually religious groups, specifically the North Dakota Catholic Conference. They decided to make human cloning illegal. So if y'all didn't know this, please sub, follow, leave a like, share this around, and also comment what our city we should do next. Bye, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Weird Laws with Bear. We're back at it. Now, today we're actually going all the way to Alaska. Specifically, there were a couple honorable mentions with Alaska, which I might end up going back to if y'all suggest Alaska again. Honorable mention, it's illegal to drive with dogs tied to the roof or hood. That's a weird one. No bringing livestock into a barber shop. And moose may not be seen on city streets after dark. Oh, and it's illegal to wake a sleeping bear for a picture. And in case you're wondering, yes, there are instances of all those happening. Reason for the laws being there. But I figured, what should today's episode be? It's illegal to push a moose out of a moving airplane. I wish I was lying. In case you're wondering, yes, this actually did happen in 1970s. There was a festival in a little place called I can't pronounce this. Talkeetna? I'm going to say Talkeetna. Hopefully I'm saying it right. Talkeetna. It's the Talkeetna Moose Dropping Festival. It's basically where moose droppings are dropped from a helicopter, and where it landed, you could possibly win a prize if you joined a raffle. So what exactly happened? Well, in the 70s, a couple of locals decided, you know what? let's just drop a already dead moose. It was already dead. It had already passed. It was past tense. Out of a plane. This actually caused a lot of local outrage. It did increase the enforcement of animal laws. Did become urban legend. Also, kind of increased the amount of laws against like federal stuff. Because now there's 3 different laws that kind of cover dropping a moose out of an airplane. Specifically, the federal aviation laws. It says FAA prohibits throwing anything from aircraft that can harm people or property. So yeah, if y'all didn't know about this, go ahead, drop me a sub, follow, leave a like, share this around to anybody you know that might like to know about a moose being dropped from an airplane, and comment what city, state, nation, whatever that you would like me to try to find weird laws in next. Bye, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Weird Laws with Bear. Where are we going today? We're going to Antarctica. Okay, well, I actually found 2 different laws. Yes, that's right. I decided we're going to actually write down the laws. Specifically, there's the Arctic Treaty of 1959, which has 2 weird things in it. It's weird to me. Specifically, it says that no one can own Antarctica at all. It also says that you cannot do any form of military training or have nuclear weapons up in Antarctica. Well, that kind of makes sense. A lot of people, were making claims such as Russia, America even threw their hat in at one point. Then you have people like Chile and Brazil. So yeah, no one owns Antarctica. We can all agree on that. So what's the other weird law? The Mandarin Protocol of 1991, also known as Protocol on Environmental Protection to the Antarctic Treaty. This kind of had a couple of rules as to how to preserve the environmental integrity of the Antarctic. In case you're wondering why I kind of say this is weird, is part of the treaty basically says you cannot flush any of your human waste. It says that you have to collect it and then have to have it removed from the Antarctic to then later be disposed of. As for everywhere else in the world, you get to flush it. In fact, it's not just put onto, the scientists up there, the people that have to live up there. No, it's also to anyone who visits. You're not allowed to, make any waste anywhere. Another thing is that if you're a heavy smoker, you're not allowed to smoke outside. You're only allowed to do your smoking in specific rooms that are designated. Another weird thing with this law is you have to be 5 meters or 16 feet away from penguins to not disturb them. You also need permission to take a rock or a feather. You cannot take any of those without permission. And another weird law is the country that you're from, you have to follow their laws up there. Doesn't matter if your American base is here and right here is the Russian base. If you go over there, you're still following the United States laws. So yeah, if y'all didn't know this, drop me a follow, sub, leave a like, share this around, and comment where we should look next. Bye, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Weird Laws with Bear. Where are we going today? We're going to Toronto. That's right, we're heading right back up to the Great White North, right above the United States. Happy 4th of July, everybody. So let's see if there's any weird laws in Toronto. Permit required to store explosives or large quantities of gasoline. Huh, that doesn't seem that weird. Oh. Okay, so we're about to get into very dangerous and federal territory, I believe. So, believe it or not, yes, you do need a permit to store large things of gasoline and explosives. However, the limit to where it is excessive and you need the permit is 100 gallons or 100 pounds. In case you're wondering when this actually passed, it was done in 1963. It was part of the City of Toronto bylaw, which was later folded into the Toronto Municipal Code, Ontario Fire Code, and Federal Explosives Act of 1985. So, might be wondering why this was made. Well, between the 40s and 60s, right before this law passed, there were buildings catching fire like a surprising amount, so they finally decided to crack down on the unsafe handling of this stuff and storage camps. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, this is obviously for a facility. That's why you're allowed 100 pounds. No, it's legit for houses or anything. So, to every American ever, if you've ever wanted to stock prep your explosives, you now have a place to. In case you're wondering what violations can be, it's fines, evictions, and criminal charges. So, yeah, I didn't expect 100 pounds of explosives to be okay today. So yeah, if y'all didn't know this, please drop me a follow, subscribe, leave a like, share this around to anybody you might know that would completely laugh at this weird law, and tell me what city, nation, or state we should go to next. Bye, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Weird Laws with Bear. Today we are going to New Jersey. Okay. What is their weird law? It's illegal to frown at a cop. Now, believe it or not, this one's kind of like one of them urban legend type laws. However, it does kind of stem from truth. So we're going all the way back to 1995 to Bernards. Oh, God, this is one of them other towns I can't pronounce. I believe it's Bernards Township. They had a resolution declaring it's a frown-free town zone. It's supposed to be only for like a year. It's one of them feel-good, positive campaigns, but it decided to last around longer than a year, you see. It took all the way to December 12th, 2023. And see, at that time they had to clarify, hey, it's not illegal to frown here. There's also another actual law. It's the New Jersey State, I can't figure out what the A stands for, sorry. But it's 2C33-2. Prohibits disrespectful gestures towards police, and believe it or not, frowning could actually be disrespectful, especially if you're a smart aleck like me and decide to go anytime you get a ticket. So yeah, that's the reason why the whole it's illegal to frown came from. So yeah, it's been looked at, it's already been clarified. It was done in December 12, 2023. Basically clarifying, hey, y'all still have y'all's First Amendment. It's not illegal to frown. We're okay. So yeah, if y'all didn't know this, please sub, follow, leave a like, share around to everybody. Let them know they can frown freely now. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye, y'all.